What's up, everybody? Welcome into Dodger Heads, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Medium Large Sports Network. My name is Jess Beagle, joined today by Bill Plunkett, Dodgers beat reporter for the OC Register, Southern California News Group. Also, the author of LA Story, a book that came out, 6 months ago about Shohei Ohtani. There you go. You got your own copy there, too. I love it. How are we now, Bill?
It came out in Japan right around the new year. Didn't
Okay.
come out in U.S. in the English version until March, I think.
Love it. Love it. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about the book and a giveaway that our site is going to be doing in conjunction with the publisher of this book. But let's dive into what's happening with the Dodgers. Just before we clicked record, we talked about what an insane night it was at Chavez Ravine last night. You've got Clayton Kershaw making history. You've got Max Muncy injury, still waiting on test results as we sit here today. And then you've got, oh, by the way, a walk-off victory from Freddie Freeman, who was in the midst of a massive slump and he might have busted out of it. So a lot going on last night. What was that like to be there and to be covering that?
Well, it was a nonstop celebration, except for about a minute and a half while Max Muncy was laying on the ground. The excitement over Clayton Kershaw making history was the overwhelming theme last night. And then to come back and win in the ninth just made it even more of a celebration. I'm just afraid what we're going to remember or what's going to have the biggest impact down the road is the Max Muncy injury. We don't know the full extent of it yet. Dave was his usual optimistic self last night, saying hopeful it's just a sprain. Even if it is a sprain, I don't think we see Max on the field for a few weeks. If it's more than a sprain, then it becomes even more of an issue and a longer term absence. And you really feel for him as Max, the last 2 months, Max Muncy has been fantastic and a huge part of that offense with Mookie and Freddie both slumping. It was probably looking good for him to get his option picked up based on the way he was playing, the club option after the season. So, yeah, this really derails his season, and you got to feel bad for him about that.
I'm curious because you're there talking to Dave. We're watching the press conferences. At least I am. We've got people obviously from Dodger Blue that are at the stadium. But when Dave Roberts comes on after a night like last night and says we're hopeful, I forget if it was optimistic or hopeful. He uses those two words a lot. We're hopeful. I'm curious how you process that sort of language because we all saw the replay. Like we all saw how nasty it looked. How do you interpret the Dave Roberts language around injuries like this?
I almost dismiss it. I hate to be that mean about it, but yeah, I just, in that moment, so soon after the injury, of course he's going to be hopeful, but there's nothing to justify being hopeful yet. He hasn't had the MRI. Until he has the MRI, you don't know anything. So it's just Dave's default setting to be optimistic. That's just the way he is. He says it about every injury, and I just don't see anything to justify that in the moment.
Yeah, we were talking on our show about from a starting pitching perspective. I hate to say this out loud as a Dodgers fan, but it feels like things are trending in the right direction with a lot of the health around their starting pitching. To the
So you
point
got your
that
fingers crossed. Cross your fingers
and
when
my
you
toes.
say that. Knock on wood.
And yet on the offensive side, we were kind of like, hey, things look good offensively. But in the back of my mind, I kept thinking to myself, there isn't an overwhelming amount of depth on the offensive side. Now, they have a bunch of really good players. And so I don't think like Max Muncy, if he's to be out for an extended period of time, would torpedo like World Series aspirations. But there isn't an obvious replacement for Max Muncy who can replicate anything close to the production that he's had. And so how do you think the Dodgers end up managing this? They've got Kike Hernandez and Miguel Rojas up at the major league level. Maybe they move Edman or Kim around to make the extra spot available be in the outfield. How do you think the Dodgers kind of move forward with this position?
Well, I think, first of all, hold off until the MRI, but I think it changes their approach at the trade deadline. It has to. Look what happened last year when Muncy was out, when he had the rib injury. They went through an assortment of guys, Kevin
Yeah.
Biggio and Kike and Miggy, and there was zero production from that spot in the lineup. I mean, zero.
Yeah.
It was a real problem for over a month, and it did really wasn't resolved until Miggy got going a little bit, and then Muncy came back. So if it's an extended absence, if he's lost for 6 to 8 weeks, if he's lost for the rest of the season, that has to go back to the top of the list on your trade deadline agenda. I mean, they have some juggling to do at the trade deadline anyway. How much do you put into the bucket of guys are coming back? Snell and
Yeah.
Glasnow are coming back. We haven't heard a word about Gonsolin, and all we hear is that Sasaki is having a real good time playing catch. So I wouldn't count on either of those two guys. But Snell, Glasnow, and extended Ohtani, your rotation is okay. You got Yamamoto and Kershaw beyond that. So I never thought that the starting pitching would be really high up on their agenda. I know we hear a lot of names, and there will be rumors and speculation, and if they can get somebody good, they'll go get somebody good. But if Muncy's out, you got to go get a third baseman. I just don't see the internal options being good enough to patch that hole.
Yeah. Do you have any sense about how the organization feels about a guy like Alex Freeland down at AAA? He's one of the top prospects, has played some third base. We know they tend to not give young guys a runway to sort of establish themselves at the same pace that maybe other organizations do. Do you have any sense of whether he's going to factor in here?
Probably not. Right now, they're calling up Estuary Ruiz, and I have no idea if I'm pronouncing his first name properly. But he's an outfielder, so
Yeah.
they're calling him up, and that means that Kike will probably be the main fill-in at third base for now. Alex Freeland is very highly regarded in the organization, but I don't see. I don't know what their ratings of him defensively at third base are, so I don't know how much of an option that really is.
Okay.
And secondly, I don't know that this is the time to make your major league debut. Is
Yeah.
with the best team in baseball to replace one of their better hitters. So I think they do have a high regard for him, but I don't see him as part of the solution at this point.
Okay, let's go to the pitching side. We mentioned obviously Kershaw and what he was able to do last night. We've been running through an interesting exercise at our website, kind of ranking the tiers of guys that we trust from the starting pitching perspective. And at the top, and we're sort of projecting health, which I know is dangerous, but guys that are expected back at some point. It feels like the top four is fairly straightforward in some order. If these guys are healthy, Yamamoto, Snell, Ohtani, and Glass now feel like they are in a class of their own. Some of our listeners don't like putting Glass now in that category, but for now, we'll put Glass now in that category. The next group is Clayton Kershaw, Emmett Sheehan, Dustin May. Maybe Justin Robleski is working his way into that group. Of those four, Kershaw, Sheehan, May, and Robleski, are there any guys in there that you feel like you trust a little bit more than the others?
How about this? How would you like an Ohtani Kershaw piggyback arrangement for a playoff game?
Be interesting.
Yeah, that's certainly two drastically different styles that the opposing team would have to be
Yeah.
prepared for. I don't trust Dustin May very far right now. I think he's going through a fairly typical return from a second Tommy John or second elbow surgery. The velocity hasn't come back all the way. The command is really spotty. He hadn't
Yeah.
barely pitched for 2 years. So, no, I would not put him in the circle of trust. Robleski, I think, is very useful, but I would not give him a start in a
Okay.
postseason game. Uh, you know, Ben Kasparius, I think, is more useful in the bullpen too. I want to see Emmett Sheehan get some starts. I want to
Yeah.
see what it looks like 3, 4, 5 starts. Again, he's coming back from Tommy John. Velocity comes back. Command doesn't come back as fast. So He's been terrific so far. I want to see if that's sustainable. If he can roll off 3, 4, 5 good, dependable starts, then he becomes much more of in the conversation.
Yeah. With Dustin May, it's interesting because we've had dialogue on our show. As crazy as it sounds, with him being out of contract at the end of the season, is there a world where, given what Andrew Friedman feels about the price of starting pitching at the deadline, do you think there's any world where the Dodgers might actually move from their surplus of guys kind of down at the bottom of this list, whether it's a Dustin May or a Landon Knack or somebody along those lines?
I think they would absolutely listen. Whether, it happens is different, but I don't think they have any deep commitment to May, to Knack, to any number of guys on that prospect list, guys like Nick Frasso and so on that we haven't seen. I don't think they have deep feelings about any of those guys.
Yeah. Okay, I want to ask one follow up on Kershaw. He's been fantastic since his first start of this season. Obviously, last night he ends up with 4 earned runs. I would make the case that maybe the first one should have been unearned based on how Andy Pages played the ball down the right field line. Also, weird circumstances where everybody knows he's aiming for one thing and one thing only, which was to strike guys out. But there was a lot of skepticism, I think, among Dodgers fans about how much Kershaw had left in the tank and what he could actually provide. Um, are you buying kind of the success and the results that Kershaw has been able to generate since his second start forward?
Yeah, I am. I think you can write last night off a little bit to the nerves. I
Yeah.
mean, Kershaw likes to act like he's a machine. He certainly, for years, put out results that were just, the same over and over again. But he's human, and he wanted last night. He wanted it badly. You could see in the way he enjoyed it after the game with his
Yeah.
family on the field and digging up the pitching rubber, and the smiles that we see from Clayton Kershaw in the photos last night are wider than we've ever seen them. he was
Yeah.
he was really enjoying the moment. So I think you write off a little bit of the poor results to that, and let's see if he gets back to the routine that he had, where he was like what, the 170 ERA over his
Yeah.
4 or 5 starts before last night. He's not doing it the same way. I know everybody looks at it, oh, it's Kershaw. He is not the same Kershaw. We have seen the evolution
Yeah.
over the last. I would put it back to 2016 when the first back injury happened. He has evolved as a pitcher since then. He actually throws a changeup occasionally. He has to be more precise with his pitches, but he's as smart a pitcher as there is out there. His pitcher IQ, let's call it, is as high as anyone in baseball. That's why he's going to the Hall of Fame. He's as fierce a competitor as any pitcher in baseball, and
Yeah.
that's not going to change. So yes, I do. I would feel comfortable giving Clayton Kershaw the ball to start a postseason game, with the caveat that he's got to be healthy. If
Yeah.
he's compromised physically, that edge goes away. He has no margin for error anymore.
Yeah. I'm curious what last night was like for you, a guy who's been around baseball for a really long time, been in the job that you've been in for a decent amount of years at this point, I would say. Uh, that was like, as a fan, that was incredibly special because of the relationship that the Dodgers and Dodgers fans have with Clayton Kershaw. We've seen a guy, Max Scherzer, get to 3,000 strikeouts. We know he wasn't beloved necessarily in every single corner of Dodger fandom, but what was that like for you, having covered so much of Kershaw's career, spent time around him, getting to see him so out of character, as you pointed out, in many ways, in his preparation and acknowledging the fans before the game, and then allowing himself to be celebrated in a way that he has kind of rejected at every turn? Like, what was that like for you?
Well, full disclosure, I wasn't there. I was off
Okay,
last night.
fair.
So I missed his no hitter. I was also off that night, and now I missed his 3,000 strikeouts. So it's a dysfunctional relationship between Mr. Kershaw's milestones and me. But I will say he has been different this year. He
Yeah.
has been, softening up a little bit for a few years now. I think kids will do that to you, and he has a bunch of them. Uh, I think he sees the end. I don't know that he's decided exactly when it is. I would not put money on him pitching next year. I think this
Yeah.
is the farewell tour. He just doesn't want us to know it. Um, and he's an interesting guy. He and I have never gotten along very well. I don't know why. I'm extremely likable. I don't know why he doesn't like me. Um, so it's difficult. He gives you little flashes every now and then. Highly recommend Andy McCullough's book that he wrote
Yeah.
about Clayton Kershaw. He opened up to Andy more than he ever has to anyone else. He does like Andy, and it's a
Are
terrific
you saying
book.
Andy's more likable than you are, Bill?
Absolutely not. That's just it's just poor judgment on Clayton Kershaw's part that makes that arrangement. No, he opened up to Andy
Yeah.
and made for a fantastic book.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. I want to talk about your book. It's on a guy that a couple people have heard of, Shohei Ohtani. Um,
Yeah. And
he's doing something.
spoiler alert, if you're a Dodger fan, you will like the ending.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard. Uh, he's pitching this year a little bit, a little bit. We're up to 2 innings at this point. Um, this book chronicles his first year as a Dodger. Um, what have you seen in year two? Like, how have things changed from your perspective, seeing the Dodgers ecosystem with Ohtani, the pitcher? Or is this guy such a freak that nothing changes? It's always the same no matter what.
Yeah, he's his own world. I mean, we learned that last year. He's kind of in a bubble all by himself. And I don't mean that he doesn't interact with his teammates. I just mean everything he does is so different because
Yeah.
what he does on the field is so different. So we don't see him. We don't get a lot of interaction with him. I think it's remarkable that he comes back from a second elbow surgery, a shoulder surgery last year, hitting is at the level he does, and then steps on a mound and throws 102. And
Yeah.
that's just a gift that God reached down and blessed him with, because that is just amazing. The first live BP he threw on the road at City Field, uh, you could tell he was just having a blast. He
Yeah.
was joking around and kidding with the other guys, and he was enjoying being back on the mound, and that's why it didn't surprise us when they decided to kind of activate him and start this process with the 1 inning at a time thing, because he doesn't want to waste his bullets in live BPs anymore, and there was
Yeah.
not going to be a rehab assignment. So it's been remarkable to me to see him throw as hard as he did so quickly. The whole 1 inning, 1 inning, 2 innings is I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around that. The word of the day that the Dodgers use all the time with this is additive. ADDITIVE. Look it up, folks. Additive. Anything Ohtani gives us as a pitcher is additive. Well, yeah, of course. But why only add one? You
Yeah.
know, if 1 inning's additive, 3 innings would be more additive.
Yeah.
So I'm a little confused by why they are keeping it down so much. I know a lot of the motivation is from Shohei. He's going to pitch because he wants to pitch, not because the Dodgers are dying for him to get on the mound. They'll take it because it's
Yeah.
additive, but they're not dying to get him in the rotation and stretched out as a full starter. They'll take his inning or two here and there, and then we'll see where we're at in October. The other part of it is they don't want to do a single thing to risk Ohtani the hitter.
Yeah.
Anything that happens, with on the mound that takes away from him as a hitter, that's subtractive. That's not
Yeah.
additive. So they don't want to take any risks there. So I guess by minimizing the innings, you minimize the risk to the hitter.
I have so many follow-ups because you touched on a lot of things that I've had questions about that I'm curious about. I'm going to limit myself to 2 follow-ups here because I know we're running out of time. Dave Roberts seemed to indicate that the whole Ohtani as a starting pitcher was kind of like, yeah, maybe. Like he might start games and get to 5 or 6 innings. And I know for me, I was like, wait, hold on a second. What are we doing? Like not the whole point, but this guy's one of the best starting pitchers in Major League Baseball when he's healthy. And so I think there were 2 ways to interpret that, at least that I could fathom. One is that they actually don't have any plans for him to be a starting pitcher. Maybe they're just appeasing him by allowing him to pitch an inning, 2 innings, 3 innings, or they're just slow playing this because they said, we don't care if he's up to 5 innings in July. We want to make sure that by the time we get to September, October, then he can give us 5 or 6 innings then. Which of those 2 pathways do you think is more in line with reality?
Oh, the second one. No
Okay.
question. The second one. If they really had plans to make him a fully stretched out starting pitcher, they would have done it a lot faster because they needed that person a lot sooner than they expected. They need him, knock on wood, they need him less now with the other guys coming back. And let's fast forward to October. How many innings do you get from a starting pitcher in October? If you get 5, you're happy.
Yeah.
So if Ohtani is stretched out to 5 by then, that's fine. That's all they want from him.
Got it. So it's not that they're not interested in Ohtani, the starter, because of fear, as much as we're not interested in Ohtani, the starter, in July. Is that fair?
So many of their decisions can be defined that way.
Yeah.
We're not going to chase things in July. We're going to plan for October.
Yeah. Okay. One other Ohtani question. Because it sounds like what you're saying is they value Ohtani, the hitter, more than they value Ohtani, the pitcher. Do you think that calculus has changed at all? Like, do you think when he arrived that they would have said exactly the same thing? Like, hey, we're signing the hitter, and if he ever pitches a handful of innings, great. Or do you think that they've seen Ohtani, the hitter, over the last 18 months and said, hold on a second, we may have misevaluated which of these 2 is most valuable?
I think that all along the pitching has been a bonus and not part of the package that they signed up for. They'll certainly take it. They're not going to, argue against it. But if you told them that the $700 million contract they signed will bring them 10 years of an elite hitter, they'd be fine with that. Yeah. Anything he gives them as a pitcher is, what's the word?
Additive.
There you go. Yeah, they don't expect him to pitch for the length of the contract. Nobody knows how long it'll be, how many years. But I don't think he'll be pitching in year 8, 9, and 10 of the contract. I think it'll be done by then. They signed him as an elite hitter with a unique bonus that may or may not play out.
And the unique bonus of the zillions of dollars they're making in revenue off the field.
Do not underestimate that. They are raking it in thanks to Mr. Ohtani.
Yeah, no, I believe it. I believe it. Okay. We do some food conversations on our channel, Bill. And having met
I'm familiar with food. I do enjoy food.
Having hung out with you in Arizona at spring training, I have inherent trust in your opinions because you recommended one of your favorite Italian places, DeFalco's, which I have now been to, I think, like 3 times in like 6 total days that I've spent in Arizona over the last 6 months. And it's fantastic. 10 out of 10. So and I have to give Fabian a little bit of credit because Fabian Ardai also recommended it as well. So here's my question I want to ask.
Where do you think Fabian learned about it?
Well, wasn't he from there though?
Yes, he did go to Arizona State. I actually ran into Austin Barnes there once, and he had the same story that he discovered it during his college years. so it's well known. It's been on Food Network, Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives.
Wow, it's fantastic, as it should be. So I wanted to ask you, as a beat guy, do you have like a top 3 cities that you enjoy traveling to purely from a food perspective? Like we're not doing sites. We're not doing like weather. I'm just saying, like, hey, Milwaukee is on the calendar and you know where you're going, like, do you have off the top of your head your favorite 3 cities from a food perspective?
I have places in almost every city.
Okay.
They may just be personal taste. May not be something for everybody. Chicago is the best food town, bar
Okay.
none.
Are you a
There's
deep dish
so
pizza
many
guy?
places. No, not really. But
Okay.
I will have it there once in a while. I'm more of a thin crust,
Okay.
wood fired grill or type
Yeah.
oven type place. But Chicago's fantastic. There's a tiny little Italian deli called L'Appetito's.
Okay.
That's just I can't think of the streets. It's Wabash and something. I go there for lunch all the time. They have the world's best chili. It's
Okay.
Italian chili because they use Italian sausage and that kind of stuff instead of just ground beef. Love that place.
Okay.
Milwaukee is actually grown on me. There's a couple food halls
Okay.
downtown in Milwaukee now, so some good places there. Don't go to Seattle that often, obviously, until every other year. But there's a pizza place there called Serious Pie
Okay.
that's really good. As you can tell, I'm a big fan of Italian
Pizza.
food and pizza.
Yeah.
Uh, Philadelphia has
Yeah.
the Reading Terminal Market. If anybody's been to Philadelphia and heard of that place, it is fantastic.
Okay.
It's an old train station they've turned into a food hall. So many good places in there. There's an Amish restaurant with great food. There's a bakery. My favorite cheesesteak place used to be in there, Carmen's, but he retired and it was replaced by another cheesesteak place, which is not as good. Sorry
Yeah.
about that. And there's a great Euro place in there too that I go to. But Reading Terminal Market, Chicago in general, that's your 1-2 right there.
Okay, I like it. I like it. And folks, hey, if you got more questions for the man, at Bill Plunkett OCR on social media, again, he's given me one recommendation, and it was fantastic. I've gone back multiple times since then, so love it. Again, Bill's book is L.A. Story. It came out earlier about Shohei Ohtani, his first year with the Dodgers. Go ahead, tell folks, Bill, where they can get it. I know if people see this today as we're recording it, you're going to be doing a signing tonight. So let people know where they can find it.
Yeah, I'm going to be at the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes game tonight. Their big fireworks show after the game, and you can come buy a book from me before the game, and I'll sign it. Why people want me to scribble on their nice new books, I don't understand, but I'll gladly sign it, and I'll even sign my own name and not Bill Plaschke. So I'll be there tonight. The book is available on Amazon, and I've seen it in most Barnes and Noble stores around SoCal. So if you got a Barnes and Noble near you, if they don't have it, they can get you one.
I
It's
love
a
it. I
great
love it. And
souvenir. If you're a Dodger fan, it's a great souvenir from the 2024 season, which is a season you're going to want to relive forever if you're a Dodgers fan or an Ohtani fan.
yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. And folks that are followers of ours, we're actually, the publisher has given us 3 copies that we are going to be giving away as well. So follow Dodger Blue 1958 on Twitter because we're going to be doing one giveaway on Twitter. Dodger Blue 1958 on Instagram. We're going to be doing a giveaway there. And if you are not already, please subscribe here to our YouTube channel. We're going to be giving one of those away in the next week and a half or so. So 3 chances to win a copy of Bill's book, LA Story. So, Bill, enjoy Rancho Cucamonga tonight. Good luck on the book sales and scribbling your name everywhere. And enjoy the rest of your season. You get to go to Milwaukee soon next week. So, at least you've got
Milwaukee
good
and
food in your
San
future.
Francisco. Boy, I'm always going somewhere.
I love it. I love it. That's Bill Plunkett of the OC Register, Southern California News Group, beat reporter. You can find him on social media. You can, of course, find his stuff on the OC Register and Southern California News Group's pages as well. I am Jeff Spiegel, folks. Enjoy the rest of your day. Again, subscribe here for information, and we will talk to you soon. Goodbye.